Hi everyone, I'm Stephen Learson. Welcome to another episode of Synthesizer Show and Tell. Each week I challenge myself to write a piece of music using only one synth from my collection and share some tips and tricks on how to use the instrument. Today I'm showcasing the Korg MS-20 Mini, which is a clone of the original synth from 1978. And for some reason, when Korg clones an instrument, they are unable to recreate it at the original size. So this synth is 86% the original size, and it features 37 of Korg's slim keys, which are terrible. They're just the worst. I just like to take a moment to say how god-awful it is to play this keyboard, and it's really a shame for Korg to remake the internal circuits of this synth so faithfully and then give you the worst keyboard on earth to pull the sounds out with. But if we can move on from that point, this is my first experience with a patch bay, and I spent lots of hours watching tutorial videos trying to figure out how this patch bay works. So I'm going to spend a little time going over the features of the patch bay. If you already know how the patch bay works, I'm going to put the times that I talk about different topics in the video notes, and you can skip ahead. And I'll also put some links to some of the tutorial videos I found to be most helpful. Maybe you're one of those people who must have control. Well, to do this, you just plug something into the total control patch. Anything. And that means these three knobs on the left will do something completely different, and they must obey whatever is plugged in there. Then you say, I only want control frequently. Or frequency, I mean. If you plug something in here, this knob down here on the left will control the pitch that is modulated by your signal source. So just remember, if you plug something in there, touch that knob next. Now check out the cutoff frequency. These 2 points on the right change what these knobs on the bottom left do, and which control the high pass and low pass filters. So as we start patching, I'm going to use the mod wheel to explain the first part. If we connect the mod wheel patch point to the point labeled total, that will reassign these dials to control oscillator 1 and 2's pitch, high pass filter frequency, and the low pass filter frequency. If I plug the mod wheel into the frequency point, this will only allow it to control the pitch of oscillator 1 and 2, and you can control the amount with this dial. You can plug in other things into the frequency point, such as pulse modulation, saw modulation, and white and pink noise. So the sample and hold section allows you to put some movement into your sound. If you want, think about it like this. You find a tone source to sample, a modulation source to control the clock, and then you send that to a destination. For instance, you could send the white noise, control the clock with the pulse, and send that all to the total. The MS-20 can process external audio by plugging it in here. Or if you want more precise control, you do the old in, out, by patching into the signal in and then out and then back to the external in. Is anyone confused yet? You can even route the synth back into itself to create distortion or other sound effects. And one way to do this is send the master signal out to the signal in and then out of there into the external in, and then send your headphone out to your speakers or your interface. Okay, so I have this drum loop going through the synth, and I can filter it with a low pass. Give it some high pass. But then I also have it routed back to affect the VCO2 pitch. So I'm going to bring that in. You can control envelope generator 1 a couple ways. You can send the push button or mod wheel to the EG1 trigger, or you can send them to the control input. And then you can send a mod source to the VCA and then take them out of any of these places. And you can pretty much send them anywhere. You can send them here, anywhere until there's so many cables you're going crazy. When making kick drum sounds, I found that getting the high pass filter cutoff frequency peak at the right spot is really important. So if I just put it in the wrong spot, I get more like laser beam kind of sounds. But as I dial it in, you can get real nice thuddy right about there. Feels real sweet for me. For a good percussive snare-like sound with this synth, I think it's good to have white noise. So I'm routing the white noise in the signal in, and then those are going out into these two cutoff frequencies. So right now I just have the high pass cutoff frequency turned down, so it sounds like a little more laser beamy, like zeop, zeop. But as soon as I turn it up and the white noise starts modulating that cutoff frequency, get that snappy, kind of clappy, snarey kind of sound. You can mess with the decay time, with the release time on the envelope. We can even mess with the attack time a little bit and get it even more sippy. There's your snare sound. I am a big fan of hi-hat samples that move in pitch, that aren't just static, the same sample again and again. So I wanted to make one that I could adjust the pitch with the mod wheel. So I have that adjusting the pitch here of VCO2. What I'm going to do is back off the cutoff a little bit. So it's just kind of a tone, but as soon as I go up and peak that up, we get more of a hi-hat kind of sound. And then I can move the mod wheel to make that hi-hat sound move just a little bit. Then what we can do is move the decay time to give us that drum machine open hi-hat kind of sound. Okay, to get good tom sounds, we're not going to use the oscillators at all. We're just going to turn the peaks up of the filters. And then we're going to use this section right here, cutoff frequency modulation, to affect that pitch. And I also got the modulation generator going. And it's going. But sometimes it goes up. Most of our tom sounds we want to go down. So I'm going to do one simple patch. Keyboard CV out into the total. And now our tom sound will always go down. You can fine tune it. There's your lucky toms. I wanted to make a bass sound that I could modulate the high pass filter with the modulation knob. And I have some white noise, adding some depth. I've got the EG triggering the total to give it kind of that thwack. So let's get vocal. I found a YouTube video of a guy making a patch that sounded like the synth was talking, like, ah, yeah. So I tried to recreate it, but I'll put a link to his video in this description. There are some sounds I was able to pull out of the Korg MS-20 Mini. It's an awesome sounding synth, really unique, and it can make some like vocal, growly, crunchy, distorted sounds that you can't get anywhere else. And especially with a patch bay, you can make some sounds that take you right out of your wheelhouse. One of the downsides, though, is that I found it to be really noisy. It's just, there's a lot of hiss and stuff when you play the notes. So I wish Korg would have maybe addressed that. And so here's the track that I made using only sounds from this synth, which I'm calling Ah Yeah. See you next time.